And we're back here on SportsLine on News Channel 5 Plus. Guest tonight, Katie Holmes, Scott Wietecha. All right, I'm curious because I'm going out to watch my friend who's coming in for the weekend to run on Saturday. Where's the best place to watch on the course?
There's a lot of places on course, a lot of
it's
neighborhoods.
26 miles long. Where are the best places?
A lot of neighborhoods we run to. I would suggest going to some of the outer rings of the course, so try not to get too far into the road closures and kind of the centralized area. But anybody can come downtown and see the start right along Broadway, which is obviously a lot of fun, and can just kind of walk over to the bridge to Nissan Stadium for the Finish Line Festival. We run through East Nashville, we run through Belmont, we run through a lot of different areas that people can come out and cheer people on.
And Scott, you'd like me to go to Shelby Bottoms because no one else is there?
Yeah. It's a tough part of the course, and it's easy access. Sure. You can go in and out and then cheer on the people who need it. And
you've mentioned that is one of the toughest spots for a runner because it is kind of isolated. You feel sort of like you're all by yourself at the end of the race there. What's the best spot? What's the spot where you're like, wow, this is really pretty cool?
Even though it's the toughest part, like 20 miles in, that's what I enjoy seeing, that 20-mile sign, because you know you have 6 miles to go. You have a band right there that starts playing. Like for me, I like to find the toughest parts of the course and try to figure out how to beat that and kind of take joy in it in a way. See, now that's a real champion. He takes the toughest part and just embraces it. I usually hear from people who aren't winning the race, obviously, but I usually hear, downtown, you get the honky-tonks and all that, but there's just so many things. You mentioned going to Belmont and going down, kind of the 12 South area and all that. There's just so many cool neighborhoods and areas to run through in Nashville. It is really, really a cool event. In terms of spectators, anything they need to know besides just me trying to find a cool spot on, like literally cool this weekend, a cool spot on the course?
The biggest thing would just be if you're coming out to watch the race, just make sure you know the road closures. So all that information is available on our website, and you can also download Waze as a navigational app. They are tapped into our road closures. So if you're using it on race morning, it'll tell you where to avoid to get around on course.
And your website is rockandroll.com/Nashville. You can also find race information, road closure stuff on our website at newschannel5.com. That's where we announced earlier tonight that the race has moved up 6:45. So some of those closures maybe a little bit earlier, maybe getting done a little bit sooner than we expected with the 6-hour time limit as well over the course of the weekend. So check that out, either rockandroll.com/Nashville or newschannel5.com for road closures. And that extends throughout the weekend because you've got the 1 mile race on Thursday night, you've got the big races, so to speak, on Saturday, and then the kids stuff on Sunday. So make sure you're paying attention all weekend long as you go out and about the city. The Health and Fitness Expo we briefly hit on earlier, Thursday and Friday. That's where you got to show up and register if you're running the race. But what are some of the things people will find there? Because it seems to me like a really good place, as we were talking earlier, if you're curious about running, thinking about maybe doing it in the future, it's a really good place to kind of get your feet wet, I guess.
It absolutely is. You can come out and kind of see the runners that are signed up, what their day is like when they're at the expo and kind of what they're picking up. And then we have tons of vendors out there. Brooks will be there. You can check out the apparel. There are people to talk to you about shoes and which shoes to run in, that kind of Scott mentioned, of getting your gait test done and figuring out which shoe is best for you. And so there's tons of vendors that can talk to you about how to train, what you need when you're training. And then they can also look at signing up for next year's race at the lowest prices of the year. And that way, if they're not trained and maybe they're new, they have a little bit of time before they have to worry about it.
Best prices for next year's race. Still can sign up for this year's race. What is the price if I walk in on Friday at 5 p.m. and say I'm running tomorrow? Not happening, but what if I did?
I don't actually know the exact price. So,
okay.
But for next year's races, there's actually a special that we're running for Thursday.
Okay.
If you come on Thursday specifically, because we're trying to get people there and encourage people to show up on that day, it'll be $59 or $69. So.
$59 or $69 for next year.
Yeah.
Good pricing there. In terms of the registration sites and the Health and Fitness Expo, what are the times again, Thursday and Friday, that people can check it out at Music City Center?
Yeah, so we're open from 12 to 7 on Thursday and then 10 to 7 on Friday.
plenty of chances to get out there, get signed up, get your swag, get tested out for the future as well. So Scott, we're getting started with the week. You have a couple more miles you got to run this week in terms of training. What's the taper down process, I guess, for you getting set for Saturday?
I'll still run every day. I'm one of those guys who, if I take a day off and then run the next day, I feel a little bit flat and worn out. But I'm definitely reducing miles, probably about 50% this week. The last 3 or 4 days, I'll take it really, really easy. I'll go my little grandpa shuffle pace.
Is that normal for a lot of marathon people to run every day? The people I know usually do not run every day.
I guess it depends what your goals are and maybe your background or what time you're trying to run. A couple of years ago, I would run usually 13 or 14 times a week, just twice a day. But it's a little bit less now. I'm still running twice a day most days, but I'm slowly dwindling down.
If I do this, I'm not getting on that training plan. I'll tell you that much. That just sounds daunting. But okay, so take me through the week as well. You're going to run every day, but we talked earlier about the importance this week, especially because of the forecast on Saturday of hydrating.
Yeah.
What kinds of hydration? I mean, is it just water? Is it Gatorade? Do you want to stay away from things? I've heard for some people say coffee's not bad, but you said earlier you're going to do 2 cups right before you run out there.
I guess drink more of what you're used to. Definitely don't try anything brand new. For me, I'll drink water and Gatorade, and the day before I'll drink my McDonald's Cokes. I enjoy those a lot. Easy way to get simple sugars and easily digestible. But the last few days I'll just kind of wind down. Most people won't be able to sleep very well on Friday, and then you got the early wake up. So I would say Wednesday and Thursday, try to get to bed a little bit earlier, get more sleep, and just kind of wind down the last few days. I think I have a massage scheduled on Thursday. Hopefully that makes me feel a little bit better. But
probably need one of those after the race as well.
Yeah.
After 26.2 miles. Scott, you told me an interesting story when you walked in tonight. As a 4-time champion, you almost weren't planning on doing this. You said around the holidays this year, kind of the plan was, I'm not going to get back out there this year. What changed?
Probably once the school year started, I started running a good bit less, and then I started sleeping a little bit more, and I was getting 7 hours or 8 hours sleep a night instead of 6, and it was a whole new world for me. I felt so much better. And then October, November, and December, I was just kind of burned out completely. I stopped running for the most part. Bought my road bike that I thought was a good deal. Then I put on probably 15 or 20 pounds because I reduced my miles so much. And then in January, I got a couple of different calls from some high school parents asking me to kind of help train their kids. So I started running with them a couple of days a week, and then some of the fast workouts they were dropping me, and can't get the high school kid to drop the 4-time champ. So I started running a little bit more, and then probably March or even the beginning of April, I started kind of rounding back into shape and decided to give it a go.
Well, you're going to give it a go. Go for the 5P on Saturday. Congratulations, first off, on the first 4, because that's an incredible accomplishment. I know a lot of people, a lot of your students will be cheering for you this weekend as you go for the 5P. Katie, as we kind of wind things down here a little bit, particulars again, let's go back to the start time. Because of the forecast for Saturday, it's supposed to be hot and humid. Take care of yourselves, people. Hydrate, whether you're running or you're standing on the side of the course on Saturday morning. But earlier start time, what's that mean? 6:45 for the half of the marathon. When do people need to be in place?
Sure. So the 5K will start at 6:15 and full and half at 6:45. Most of our race morning elements will be open by 4:30, some at 5. So definitely encouraging people to get down and be ready to start at the start time. It is a long wave program, so we have a lot of corrals for the full and the half. So just because it's a 6:45 start doesn't mean if you're in a later corral that you will be starting right at 6:45, but we will get things going as quickly as we can, knowing that the heat's coming a little bit later in the day.
And where do people park if they're coming down there?
Yeah, so there's parking available for the runners at Nissan Stadium. There's some free lots available, first come, first serve, and then we're also selling premium parking as well online, and it'll be available at the Health and Fitness Expo.
Sounds great. Katie Holmes, Scott Wietecha, we got to take a final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up on this edition of SportsLine right after this.